Sex trafficking. Most Americans would ignorantly believe this is simply an international issue.
Federal agents busted a juvenile sex ring run out of Fairfax County.
And if it occurs, it's in rare circumstances. Unfortunately, they don't realize it's closer to them than they would think. It is one of the fastest growing criminal industries.
Prostitution for me started at 14, at the beginning of my teenage years. And before that, I had 2 daughters. So did I have teenage years? Pretty much my childhood and my teenage years were snatched away from me.
Girls get introduced to sex trafficking often because of homelessness, being kicked out of the home or run away from home, and it's just very common that within a certain amount of time that someone has been out on the street, that someone is going to try to buy sex from them, because once a youth is out on their own, they have to survive by any means necessary.
It comes from pain. It comes from the pain. It comes from the abuse. It comes from the low self-esteem that you feel about yourself, that you're not valuable enough. So you allow people to do things that other people wouldn't allow people to do.
Just like in other countries around the world, it happens here in this country that a child or teenager's own parents sell them into prostitution.
I have young ladies that are being pimped out by their parents, and they've never had any joy or anyone to say that I love you, or anyone to take care of them or to help them.
Well, I think violence against women involved in the sex trade is greatly unreported, because women and girls, if they're involved, fear going to the police or calling 911 if something happens, because they fear being prosecuted.
Prostitution comes with violence. Prostitution comes with all kinds of abuse.
Definitely found that the most frequent perpetrator of violence is the John, the person who's buying sex from them, even more so than the pimp or trafficker and others.
To be beaten, kidnapped, stabbed, raped, slapped, pinched, punched on a regular basis.
It's about finding a group of individuals who are vulnerable and exploiting that vulnerability and treating them as individuals that don't have rights.
I didn't have any days that belonged to me. All my days belonged to my pimp and working. I worked all the time. I made his money, and then maybe he would feed me when he got ready. If I didn't make enough money, I was beat up. If I didn't make any money, I didn't eat. That's normal. That's normal in prostitution. That's a day in a prostitute's life. Last customer I had drugged me 6 blocks with his car and tore all the skin off my face and the left side of my body. I was totally disfigured. The emergency room waited on me, but then they pushed me back in the hallway once the police told them I was a prostitute.
In a community where there's a lot of street-level prostitution, the community gets really upset about it, and all they think about is the prostitute, the woman. In general, the general public or any of these law enforcement entities are in favor of the trafficker necessarily, but I think that there needs to be a real shift in the way we think about who law enforcement is going to target and who we're really paying attention to.
The name of my foundation is the Dreamcatcher Foundation. We actually rescue young ladies out of prostitution, human trafficking, and sexual exploitation.
Prostitution Alternatives Roundtable is a project of the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless. We started in 2001, and it started as a way to fill the need of advocacy for those who are involved in the sex trade and want alternatives to be able to exit, to be able to get out and move on with their lives.
I hope that what I do, what my organization does, can stop another young girl from having to spend all that time being victimized.
The Wings Project is a specialty problem-solving court started in January of 2011.
One particular story was a young lady who came to our organization, and she sat in our organization and she had a gun for the first 2 weeks that she sat in our class in her purse. She felt that she couldn't prostitute anymore, but maybe she could use that gun to go out and get some money for her and her daughter, which she needed Pampers, and she needed milk, and she needed and she needed things. She needed bus fare. She needed different types of things. She wasn't getting them. There wasn't any organizations out there that was helping her. She was having a hard time even getting food stamps because she was undocumented. She came to our organization and she just started listening to what we were talking about, and then she started telling us her needs. What we started doing is meeting her needs, giving her money for food, giving her bus passes, making sure that we had Pampers for that baby, making sure that she didn't have to go prostitute for any of the basic needs that she had.
The very first participant in Wings will be graduating in January, and you know, I mean, it's just those basic things, you know. She's got housing, and she's been through substance abuse treatments, and she's, you know, she looks good and she looks happy.
I want to empower them to know how beautiful, gorgeous, and awesome that they really are, that they're not their bodies, they're not for sale.